Darkness pressed against the small windows of the prison shuttle. The stars outside did not twinkle. They looked dead, cold, and uncaring. Inside, Commander Yalenkor sat in silence, hands bound in steel cuffs. A sharp pain in his side from the beating he'd received earlier. His uniform was torn, stained with dried blood. The rank insignia had been ripped off his chest like it meant nothing. Once a respected leader in Earth's military, Yalen was now nothing more than a criminal. A traitor, they said. The guard across from him didn't speak. No one had spoken to him since his trial lift. That a sham could even be called a trial. The decision was already made before he ever walked into that courtroom. No defense, no second chance, just exile, his crime. Questioning the council, he had discovered files, old ones, buried deep in black archives, not meant to be found. Files showing that Earth's leaders had lied about wars, about peace treaties, about entire colonies that had gone missing. Lona had gone to his superiors. He thought he was doing the right thing. He thought they would care. Instead, they charged him with high treason, leaking classified data, attempting to start a rebellion, lies to cover their guilt. Now he was being sent to the Obsidian Expanse. No, one came back from the Expanse. It wasn't a planet or a prison. It was a place at the edge of known space. A black zone filled with dead stars, broken ships, and ancient wreckage. A place with no law, no safety, and no rescue. Some said it was cursed. Others said it was haunted. All agreed it was a death sentence. A voice crackled over the intercom. Entering drop zone. Prepare the prisoner. Yalen looked up. Approached, unfastening the harness that kept him in the seat. He didn't resist. Where would he go? The ship shook slightly as it came out of faster-than-light travel. The guard pushed him toward the back of the shuttle. A circular metal door hissed open. Behind it, a small drop pod waited just big enough. For one man, Yalen stepped inside. The door slammed shut behind him. No goodbye, no final words, only silence. A screen in front of him blinked to life. Pod launching in 10, 9, 8. He took one last breath. His hands were still bound. He had no weapon, no supplies, just the ragged clothes on his back. 3, 2, 1. The pod ejected with a violent jolt, flinging him into the void. The stars vanished, only black remained. Hours. Passed? Maybe more. Time didn't work right in the Expanse. The pod systems flickered, struggling to stay online. Lights dimmed. Alarms blared quietly. Temperature dropping. Oxygen thinning. Jalen's vision blurred. He was going to die here. But then, something changed. A strange vibration ran through the pod, not shaking something smoother, like being caught in a net. A low hum filled the air. Then, without warning, the pod systems went completely dead. The door unlocked. That shouldn't have been possible. The hatch opened slowly. Light flooded in, not blinding, but soft and silver, like moonlight. Jalen's heart pounded. Was he hallucinating? He stepped out and froze. He was no longer floating in space. He was standing inside a massive hangar. The scale was impossible. Towering walls. Hundreds, no. Thousands of pods, ships, drones, and machines lined the bay. All of it silent. All of it ancient. A voice echoed from above. Genetic signature confirmed. Welcome, Commander Core. Along. Spun around, who's there? No one? The voice was calm, emotionless, but not robotic. It sounded human, but not quite. I am Warship Sovereign. You have been identified as command compatible. Restoration protocols initiated. Yalen took slow steps forward, unsure if this was real. You know who I am? He asked. I know your code. Your DNA matches authorized clearance for the Obsidian Fleet Command protocols. You are now ranked acting commander. What Obsidian Fleet? Yalen whispered. The floor beneath his feet began to shift. Lights came on row after row. As far as his eyes could see, more ships lit up. Some were the size of battleships. Others looked like sleek fighters. And yet others were unlike anything Earth had ever built. These ships, they're operational? He asked in disbelief. Minimal damage, awaiting activation. Entire fleet has been in lockdown for 214 years. He remembered whispers from long ago, rumors of a pre-council rebellion. A war that never appeared in history books. Could these ships be from that time? Why were they hidden out here? He asked. Earth's High Command issued purge protocols. This fleet was marked for destruction. But auto-preservation code overrode the command. We have waited for someone with clearance. It is now you. Yolan backed up. No, there's been a mistake. I'm not. The lights dimmed. Your signal has been detected by Earth Command. A hunter-killer satellite has been launched. Intercept in 47 minutes. Yolan froze. They're still trying to kill me. Correct. He looked at the control panel rising from the floor in front of him. No weapons. No power. Nothing to fight back with. A screen displayed a map as Pod's flight path. The satellite was coming fast. He was inside some kind of hidden facility, surrounded by ancient, half-dead ships. And still being hunted, then another screen lit up. Fleet reactivation. Manual command, Rikuyek. Looked at the panel. His hand trembled slightly as he reached out. One touch. It's just one. He slammed his palm against the surface. Activate the fleet. He said. The hangar erupted in light. Engines roared. Weapons powered up. AI systems came online one by one. Activation confirmed, said the voice. Preparing for launch. Outside, deep in the black of space, hundreds of vessels began to move. Sleek metal hulls reflected no light. Cannons hummed with quiet energy. Drones zipped between flagships, forming formations with military precision. They had been asleep for over 2 centuries. Now they were awake. And they had a new commander. Yolan stood at the edge of the command bridge, watching the screens. The satellite was drawing closer, fast. It was armed with particle beams that could rip through a planet's core. But Yolan had something Earth didn't know still existed. He had the Obsidian fleet. And for the first time since his exile, he smiled. He wasn't dead. He wasn't lost. He had been found. And no would make. Earth remember what it chose to forget silence. That was the first thing Yolan noticed when the ships launched. No deafening roar.
Oh.
No thunder. No chaos. Just smooth movement. Controlled clean. These were not ordinary warships. They were something else. Something old. Something powerful. And they had just accepted him as their commander from the main control deck. Yolan watched as hundreds of vessels left the hidden base. Sleek black hulls moved like shadows through the dead space of the obsidian expanse. Their engines glowed with a pale blue light, silent but fast. Each one moved into a perfect formation, orbiting the ancient station like birds of prey. The station, itself once quiet and dead, was now fully awake. Sovereign, the ship's AI spoke again. Hunter-killer satellite ETA, 15 minutes. Recommendation. Launch defense squadron. Yolan stared at the glowing screen. The satellite was a problem, a big one. It wasn't just a weapon, it was a message. Earth wasn't done with him yet. They didn't just want him gone, they wanted him erased. Deploy fighters, he ordered, his voice steady. Intercept and disable. Confirmed. Launching units Shadow 1 through 4. On the screen, 4 ships peeled off from the formation. They weren't large, sleek, fast-built. For silent kills. Their hulls looked like black glass, invisible against the stars. Yolan didn't know their names or designs. He didn't need to. They moved like hunters. For a long time, he stood in silence, watching the satellite enter visual range. It looked like a floating dagger long, sharp, bristling with weapons. Yolan had seen one before, during the suppression of the Mars uprising. One satellite had destroyed 5 rebel cruisers in under a minute. Its beam could melt through ship armor like paper. Sovereign kept him updated. Target locked. No communication signal detected.
Satellite.
Operating on kill protocol. We have countermeasures, yes, but not against the beam. Must not let it fire. Outside, the fighters broke formation and began their approach. Yolan held his breath. Suddenly, the satellite powered up. A red glow pulsed along its center, charging. Shadow 1, strike now, Yolan said, in perfect silence. The fighter moved, and then light. One blast. A clean strike to the satellites. Central core, it should have worked. It didn't. Impact detected, Sovereign said, but armor has adapted. It has absorbed the shot. What? Yalin whispered. The satellite turned. It had seen them. The red glow became blinding. It's charging for a full burst. Yalin felt his stomach twist. Shadow Squadron, evasive too late. The beam fired. It cut through the dark like a sword. Shadow 2 vanished instantly. No explosion, just gone. Shadow 2 destroyed, the AI said coldly. Shadow 3. And 4 hit it again. Aim for the power core. The fighters turned. This time they didn't just fire, they attacked from both sides. One drew its attention, while the other aimed for a weak point. 3 shots landed hard. The satellite shook. Then second explosion internal. The beam cut out. Target has sustained critical damage, Sovereign confirmed. Power system offline. Satellite falling into decay orbit. Yalin exhaled. He'd won. But it didn't feel like a victory. Earth knew he was still alive. They had tracked him, even this far, and they would send more. He turned back to the console. The fleet was massive, bigger than anything he had ever seen. And this was just the beginning. The files he uncovered before his exile hinted at something larger, an entire network of hidden fleets, stations, and weapons scattered throughout forgotten regions of space. He had thought those files were myths. Now he stood inside one. Why me? He asked, almost to himself. Why did the system wake up for me? Sovereign responded instantly. Your DNA is a 91% match to Admiral Kale Roan. I don't know. That name? Admiral Roan was the final commander of the Obsidian Fleet during the First Suppression War. Yolin frowned. There is no record of that war. Earth erased it, the AI replied. It happened before the Council formed. Back when the Outer Colonies first asked for freedom, Admiral Roan refused to attack civilians. Earth branded him a traitor and ordered the fleet destroyed. They buried it all, Yelin muttered. Yes, but Roan encoded a failsafe one. Tied to his genetic line, you carry part of that line. Yalin shook his head. He had no family records past 3 generations. Nobody did. Earth's control system erased non-essential history. Bloodlines, old wars, even past leaders, all gone. Until now, so I'm here because I'm related to a man Earth tried to wipe from history? That is correct. He felt the weight of it, the pressure, the legacy. But deep inside, something stirred hope. This fleet, it could change everything, he whispered. Yes, said Sovereign. It was built to protect those Earth could. Not control, its weapons are older, but more powerful. Shield's adaptive. It's a Kai systems, more advanced than modern Earth tech. Galan looked at the screen showing the remaining ships. How many are fully functional? Approximately 65% of total capacity. 812 vessels ready for deployment. Others undergoing repair. He stared at the number. 800 ships. That wasn't just a fleet. It was a revolution waiting to happen. Are there more stations like this? Yes. 6 others across the expanse. Coordinates are encrypted. Shall I unlock them? Yolan paused, then nodded. Double quotes do it? As the system worked, he turned toward the large glass window at the front of the command deck. Beyond it, stars. Shone faintly in the dark. This region of space, this cursed, forgotten zone, had become his sanctuary. Earth had thrown him here to die. Instead, he found power. He wasn't sure what came next. He didn't know if the other stations were intact. He didn't know how long it would take before Earth sent more weapons, more hunters, more lies. But he did know one thing. He wasn't alone anymore. He had a fleet. He had answers. And soon, he would have a plan. The screen blinked. Coordinates received. Station 02. Status active. Standby mode. Yolan, I smiled. It was time to wake the others. JLL. Stared at the new coordinates on the screen. Station 02. Active. Standby mode. It meant the second hidden base was still out there silent, waiting like the first one. But what would they find inside? More ships? More secrets? He didn't know, but he had to go. Sovereign, he said, set a course for it. Station 02, full stealth mode. Launch in 15 minutes. Estimated arrival in 3 hours. Warning, solar interference en route. Visibility will be limited. Land turned to the main screen. The void outside was calm, but he knew better. The expanse was quiet only because everything inside it was either dead or hiding. He left the bridge and walked down a narrow corridor. Lights blinked softly on the walls. The ship felt alive, but empty. No crew, no noise, just him and a voice. In the walls, he reached what looked like a war room, holographic tables, maps, chairs meant for officers long gone. Dust still covered some of the surfaces. He sat down, rubbed his hands together, and thought about the past. He remembered Earth's Capitol White Towers, cold air, always watched by drones. People believed they were free, but Yala knew better. He had believed in the system once, served it, fought for it, but the files he found changed everything. They told of a war that never made the news. A war before the Earth Council was formed. A war against the Council. The documents were short. Many were damaged, but a few details stood out. Entire outer colonies vanished. Orders given to silence uprisings no matter the cost. A commander, Admiral Cale Roan, refused to obey. The Obsidian fleet turned rogue. It was erased from history. Until now, the ship jumped into faster-than-light travel. Time blurred. Lights dimmed. Sovereign's voice came through the speaker. Again, Commander, we are nearing Station 02. Sensors detect activity, but no life signs. Define activity, Yalen said. Power fluctuations, minor thruster pulses, possibly automated systems. The ship slowed. The dark space cleared. Jalen stepped onto the bridge and looked ahead. There it was, Station 02. It floated above a dead star, its orbit held by old thrusters that twitched every few seconds to keep it steady. The station was massive, dark gray plating, circular in shape, cracks along its outer rim, like it had been through a battle long ago. Yolan leaned closer. One side had a large scar-scorch marks from what looked like a plasma beam. Sovereign. Any sign of Earth tech near the station? Negative. No current. Threats detected? Dock us. I want to see what's inside. Confirmed. The ship approached slowly, arms extended. The magnetic clamps locked onto the outer ring of Station 02. A hatch hissed open, Jalen. Stepped through. Inside, it was. Cold lights flickered. Dust floated in the air. Metal creaked in the distance. This station hadn't been touched in over 200 years. He walked carefully down the hallway. The layout was similar to Station 01, but more damaged. Some panels were broken. One corridor was blocked by debris. Burn marks along the floor told of past violence. A control room door opened with a loud hiss. Inside, 5 stasis pods lined the wall. 4 were empty. 1 was still sealed. A small screen blinked on the side of the last pod. Status: active, occupant alive, identity unknown. Jalen's heart skipped. Someone was still alive in there. He approached the pod slowly. The person inside was female, pale skin, long dark hair, tubes connected to her arms. Her breathing was steady, like she had just gone to sleep. Can you wake her? He asked. Sovereign replied through the stations. Local system. Yes. Beginning revival sequence. Warning. Memory damage possible. Steam hissed from the pod. The glass slid open. The woman gasped and sat up, coughing hard. Her eyes flicked open bright green, confused. Yalen stepped back, hands up, easy. You're safe. You've been asleep for a long time. She stared at him. Who are you? Her voice cracked. Commander Yolenkor. I found this station by accident, I think. I think we're on the same side. Out. She swung her legs out and stood slowly. Out. Her legs shook, but she stayed upright. Lieutenant Nia Voss, she said. Obsidian Fleet. Security Division. What year is it? Yolan hesitated. 214 years since the fleet was shut down. Her eyes widened. Then it worked. The lockdown worked. You were part of Admiral Roan's team? She nodded, slow at first, then with certainty. He told us to sleep. He said someone would come. Someone who would finish what we started. Yolan felt the weight of her words. That's supposed to be me. Her gaze sharpened. Are you ready to fight Earth? I don't know, he said honestly. But I have the fleet. And I know what they did. She looked around the control room. If this station is still working, we might still have access to the core data. We recorded everything, every order, every mission, every betrayal. Jalen's breath caught. Records of the war? She nodded. Everything Earth tried to destroy. They moved to a terminal in the corner. It was old, but Sovereign linked to it. Files blinked to life. Video logs, mission data, audio recordings, names of colonies that had vanished, locations of secret prisons, list of Earth Council members. Who had ordered mass silence? Jalen stood frozen. This wasn't just a story. This was proof. Earth didn't just exile him. They tried to hide an entire war. One they started, one they lost. And now, Yolan had the truth. He turned to Naya. We need to wake the other stations. Gather the rest of the fleet. Let the stars know we're still here. She smiled faintly. Let's finish what they started. Back. Aboard his ship, Yolan stood on the bridge once again. Behind him, new officers stood in front of him. Stars began to shift. He wasn't just a survivor now. He was the commander of the Obsidian Fleet, and Earth had no idea. What was coming? Julian stood at the center of the command bridge. The lights from the starfield cast shadows across his face. Behind him, the control panels buzzed softly. In his hands, he held the truth-real evidence from the second Obsidian. Station dot records, logs, data packets showing what Earth had done. And worse. What they were still doing, the war Earth erased, wasn't over. It had just been buried. Nia stood at his side now, wearing a dark gray uniform recovered from one of the storage bays. It fit her poorly, but she didn't care. Her eyes burned with purpose. We need to wake the others, she said. The fleet. Wasn't just 7 stations. There were dozens, spread across forgotten space, built in secret, away from council control. Yolan turned to Sovereign, scanned the edge of the expanse. Look for other signals like Station 01 and 02, old tech. Obsidian code signatures, affirmative, the AI replied. Searching, the display changed. A large map filled the center screen, showed space like veins lines, cracks, hidden routes, not on any modern chart. 3 blinking points appeared in the dark. Stations 03, 05, and 06, partial signal. Confirmed. 2 others lost. 1 destroyed. Yolan leaned forward, set a route. We'll wake them all. As the ship prepared to move, Nia stepped closer. There's something else, she said quietly. Earth's fleet won't sit idle for long. Once they realize the Obsidian systems are waking up, they'll respond. They already did, Yolan muttered. They sent a hunter satellite after me. They'll send more.
We're not
ready to fight them yet, she said. Not unless we have full command of the fleet and allies. Yolan paused. Allies. She nodded. There are still colonies out there, hidden, broken, scared, abandoned by Earth. We need them. And they need us. Then we'll give them something to believe in, he said. The ship jumped into faster than light. Again, hours later, they arrived at Station 03. It was silent, cold, spinning slowly above a gas giant with stormy rings. The exterior was cracked in several places, but light still flickered faintly from within. They docked carefully. Inside, the story was different. Unlike Station 02, Station 03 wasn't abandoned. It was damaged badly. Bulkheads were melted. Burn marks covered entire corridors. Signs of a brutal fight were everywhere. Blaster holes, dried blood, broken walls. But then, voices, not recordings. Real voices. J-A-L-E-N raised a hand for silence. From behind a sealed door, he heard muffled shouting. He and Nia pried it open. Inside were survivors, about 20 men and women, dirty, thin, some in torn uniforms. Others in makeshift gear. One man aimed a rifle at them, eyes wild. "Stop right there. Who are you?" Jalen didn't flinch. He stepped forward, palms raised. "My name is Jalen Kor. I was exiled by Earth. I found the first 2 obsidian stations. This fleet belongs to me now." The man stared, uncertain. Then a woman stepped forward from the group. Her eyes scanned Jalen, then Nia. "I know that face," she said softly. "You were on the news, the one they called a traitor." Jalen gave a sad smile. "That's me." "Funny," she said. "They called us traitors too." He lowered his hands. "You're Obsidian." "We were," she said. "Till Earth found this place 70 years ago, sent a black ops team, killed half of us. We fought them off. Barely after that, the station went quiet. I'm reactivating." "The fleet," Jalen said. "You're not alone anymore." The woman stepped forward and extended her hand. "Then I guess we have a commander again." Over the next few weeks, things moved fast. Station 03 was repaired as much as possible. JLEN visited Station 05 next to Medical Research Base, hidden beneath the ice of a dead moon. The AI systems were still intact, and thousands of cryopods lined the underground vault. Scientists, engineers, pilots, all sleeping. JLEN gave the order. "Wake them at Station 06. The story was different. The outer hull was shattered, but deep. Within, a fleet core remained untouched, a vault filled with drones and stealth corvettes that had never launched. They would now back on the command ship. The bridge looked different. People filled the stations. Real officers. Former rebels. Survivors. Engineers in black and silver uniforms. The star-bound banner flew above the command deca, a simple white star breaking free from the chains of Earth. Nia stood beside Jalen once more. "You've done it," she said. 5 stations. Thousands of ships. Tens of thousands of people. You're building something real." Jalen nodded slowly. "This isn't just about revenge," he said. "It's about freedom, truth, justice." Sovereign's voice interrupted. "Commander, incoming transmission from Edge of Expanse. Signal coded in Old Terran frequency." "Unsecure." "Put it through," Jalen said. The screen lit up. A man appeared, druff beard, older, one eye cybernetic. "This is Captain Wren of Freehold Colony. We received your signal. Thought you were a myth, a ghost. But if it's real, if the Obsidian fleet has returned, we want in." Jalen leaned forward. "You'll be risking everything. Already." The man said. "Earth abandoned us 20 years ago. Left us to starve. Now they want us back. Want our minerals, our children, our labor." Jalen's voice was calm. "Then fight with us." Wren nodded. "We will." Days later, more signals came in. From the moons of Arvix, from the dust colonies. Of Venfor, from the shattered rings of Eos Prime, whispers turned into promises. The starbound Empire was no longer just a fleet. It was becoming a movement, but Earth was watching. Sovereign delivered the next message without warning. "Commander, Earth has issued a galaxy-wide alert. You have been labeled a Class 1 threat to human stability. All Council-line ships have orders to shoot on sight. A bounty has been placed on your head." Jalen smiled. "They're scared." Aya chuckled. "They should be." Jalen looked out at the stars. His fleet now numbered over 1,000 ships. More were being repaired every day. Colonies were rising, joining, flying the starbound flag, but this was only the beginning. War was coming, and this time he would not fight. Alone storm was building in the stars. Jalen watched the screen in silence. Dozens of red dots were blinking Earth. Council warships, scout patrols, kill fleets, bounty hunters. All moving through outer systems, searching for him. The bounty was massive. Class 1 threat. Jalen Kor. Dead or alive. Reward. 10 million credit units. Fleet amnesty granted to successful contractor. It wasn't just a hunt. It was war. and Earth was trying to buy it cheap. Sovereign spoke calmly. Multiple bounty fleets detected entering the edge of the obsidian expanse. Estimated contact within 6 hours. Nia leaned over Jalen's shoulder, eyes cold. They're desperate, she said. They know we're not just hiding anymore. Good, Jalen said. Let them come. But inside he felt the pressure. Building. He had reawakened 5 stations. He had over 1,000 ships, thousands of crew, colonies rising in support, systems pledging loyalty, but it wasn't enough. Earth had thousands of warships of their own, and worse. If even one bounty hunter got lucky, it could all fall apart. He turned toward the command room. All commanders assemble. Minutes later, the command deck was filled. Holograms lit up across the table, representatives from Freehold Colony, the engineers from Station 05, the drone AI from Station 06, and 2 former Earth officers who had defected after hearing Jalen speak. He addressed them all. We've grown fast. Too fast. That means Earth's coming with everything they've got. Not because we're strong, but because we're right. He brought up a star map. They're coming through these 4 gates, old jump lanes. Each one connects to key sectors. Colonies, trade worlds. We hit them there. One officer, Captain Reese, raised an eyebrow. You want to fight Earth head-on? No, Jalen replied. I want them to look into the stars and see us everywhere. I want fear to walk with their fleets. I want their pilots to ask themselves, what if this isn't the right side anymore? Reese nodded slowly. You're playing the long game. We don't win by crushing Earth in one battle, Jalen said. We win by making them bleed, till their own people stand up and say enough. Nia leaned in. And what about the bounty hunters? Jalen looked at her. Leave them to me. Later that day, deep in the ghost zone near Station 03, Jalen stood aboard a small scout ship with a special Lodan encrypted broadcast signal. The message was short. A direct challenge to every bounty hunter, mercenary, and killer chasing me. I'm not running. I'll be waiting in the Cauldron Rift, alone. If you think you're good enough, come find me. He sent it, then waited. 3 hours later they arrived. 9 bounty ships, different flags, different weapons. Same goal, kill Jalen. Get rich. Jalen's scout ship floated quietly in the middle of the Cauldron Rift, an old asteroid field with enough debris to hide a dozen ambushes. He wasn't alone. Of course, Sovereign's stealth drones had been hidden in the rocks for days. As the first bounty hunter approached, his ship opened fire, but the beam missed, and then the drone struck, silent, precise, in under a minute. 4 bounty ships were dead. 2 more turned and fled. The last 3 tried to fight. They didn't last. After it was over, Jalen sent a second message. Broadcast across every system Earth still controlled. You want to hunt me? Fine. But know this. Every ship you send, I will destroy. Every mercenary you pay, I will break. I am not your prey. I am your consequence. It was a warning and a promise. Meanwhile, Earth was cracking from the inside. In secret meetings, council members argued he was supposed to vanish. Now, he's building an empire. Should have killed him on sight. But he was. Right, he found the Obsidian Fleet. Some council members still wanted to crush Jalen with brute force. Others were afraid, and many Earth soldiers quietly were beginning to wonder, what if we're fighting the wrong war? Back in starbound space, Jalen met with a group of rebel colony leaders. They sat in a low room on the command ship, candles flickering, old flags on the walls. You didn't have to come in person. One of them said, I did, Jalen replied. You risked everything by contacting me. An older woman with burn scars on her face stood up. We're ready. We've waited 20 years for someone to stand up. We'll feed your fleets, train your soldiers, repair your hulls. We ask, is that you don't forget us when you win? Jalen looked her in the eye. We're not fighting for power. We're fighting so people like you never have to be forgotten again. The room went silent, and then they raised their hands and swore loyalty not just to Jalen, but to the starbound empire. Later, Nia entered the bridge with bad news. Earth just launched a black-class weapon, a relic from the First Suppression War. We thought they were all gone. What is it? Yolan asked. She hesitated. They call it the Solar Lance. Yolan frowned. That's a myth. Not anymore. Sovereign confirmed it. Solar Lance is a mobile energy platform, capable of destroying entire planetary surfaces. Power draw suggests it is fully operational. Yolan stared at the screen. Where? Is it heading? The answer chilled him. Freehold. The first colony that joined him. His first ally. They want to make an example. Naya said, burn one world so the others run. Yolan didn't hesitate. Prepare the fleet. We intercept that weapon before it fires. But if it does? She asked. Jalen single quotes as steel. Then Earth will regret the day it built it. The stars over Freehold dimmed. Jal stood on the command bridge of the Sovereign, his eyes locked on the long-range display. The Solar Lance was coming fast, a weapon so powerful it could erase a planet in a single strike. He had less than 5 hours across his fleet. Warning sirens echoed. Ships scrambled from the repair bays. Drones activated. Crews rushed to battle stations, but even now, Yolan knew they weren't ready for something like this. No one was. Update, he said quietly. Sovereign answered. Solar Lance entering high orbit above Freehold. Weapon charging. Planetary. Shield grid is not strong enough to block the first blast. Yolan turned to Naya. How many civilians on Freehold? 8 million, she replied. Mostly farmers, tech workers, exiles from Earth. They don't have time to evacuate. Yolan felt the weight of it press down on his chest. Then we fight here now. He sent the message across the fleet. This is Commander Yolan Kor. Earth has launched its most powerful weapon against us. This is not just a battle, this is a line. If we hold here, if we stop them, we prove that Earth's terror ends today. If we fail, stars will burn. Across starbound space, ships answered. Station 01 deployed heavy cruisers. Station 05 launched its carrier wings from the edge of the rift. 5 new colonies sent what few ships they had. Freighters turned into gunships, patrol boats with jury-rigged weapons, and a few ancient corvettes held together with more hope than metal. Together, they jumped to Freehold to war. The Solar Lance hung in orbit like a floating blade. Its long metallic body pulsed with red energy. Round it, a full Earth fleet waited. 2 dreadnoughts, 20 destroyers, and fighter swarms. It was a trap. JLL knew it, but he didn't care. The starbound fleet jumped in with light flashes that burned through the black. And then, the Battle of Broken Suns began. The first shots came fast. Starbound fighters zipped between enemy lines, slaying mines and scrambling missiles. Jalan's AI-controlled drones targeted weak points in Earth's formation. Explosions filled the void. But the Earth fleet was disciplined, tight formation, synced targeting. Brutal precision. A starbound destroyer broke, part under heavy fire. Another lost its shields and went dark. Jalen's command ship shook violently. Port shields down to 63%, Sovereign warned. Enemy boarding ships approaching. Deploy. Interceptor squad, Yolan said. Outside? 2 sleek interceptors launched and met the boarding crafts before they could attach. One was torn apart. The other detonated its engines, taking the attackers with it. More starbound ships arrived, but they were outgunned. Freehold's planetary defense grid fired from the surface plasma arcs, streaked toward the Solar Lance, but didn't reach it. The Lance is charging, Nia warned. 30% power. Jalen clenched his fists. We need to get closer. Fast. They took a risk. The Sovereign led a direct strike run straight at the Lance. Around them, Earth. Ships closed in. Yolan ignored the warnings. Ignored the odds. We hit the Lance's cooling systems, he ordered. If it overheats before it fires, it shuts down. But that means flying through the kill zone, Naya warned. Then we don't miss. The fleet followed. Tight, brave, suicidal ships exploded. Engines flared. But a group of 10 starbound. Vessels broke through the chaos and reached the Lance. JALE and targeted the exposed cooling ring. Fire all forward cannons. Now, White beams lanced out. The lance's side exploded. Its glow flickered. Cooling system damaged. Power core unstable. Sovereign reported cheers rang out on the bridge, but the celebration didn't last. In Earth, Dreadnought turned its guns on Freehold. They're bypassing the lance, Nia said. Going for orbital bombardment. Yalan stared at the tactical map. Freehold's surface was helpless. If that Dreadnought fired, he made a choice. Send a transmission to the Dreadnought. Nia looked at him. You want to talk to them now? Do. The screen blinked. A cold-eyed Earth captain appeared, Commander Lethan. Young, proud, cruel. Well, if it isn't the Exile himself, you don't need to do this, Yalan said. Freehold isn't a military target. Doesn't matter. The message does. To who? The people you're trying to scare. They've already chosen a side. Lethan smiled thinly, then watched them burn. The screen cut off. The Dreadnought fired. A beam dropped toward the planet, and then no.
Moved.
One of the hidden starbound cruisers, the Wraith, positioned itself between the beam and the surface. It took the full hit and exploded. Everyone on board died to stop one shot. Jalen closed his eyes. We're out of time, he whispered. And then, something changed. A new signal appeared. From Earth's side, a dozen Earth ships were turning around. What's happening? Nia asked. Sovereign answered. Multiple Earth captains breaking rank. Opening encrypted channels. Yalan listened. Voice crackled through. This is Captain Rennick of the 8th Terran Armada. We were told you were the enemy. But we've seen what Earth just did. You saved Freehold. You spared lives. That's not something a tyrant does. We're standing down. More signals followed. Ships switching sides, dropping weapons, turning against Earth's command. The tide turned with the defectors' help. Solar Lance was pushed back, badly damaged. Its engines fired, once desperate to escape. It fled into deep space, leaving behind wreckage, fire, and silence. The battle was over, but Freehold was still alive. On the surface, people gathered to watch the skies. They cheered. They wept. They waved the starbound banner from rooftops. Jael stood alone on the bridge, staring out the glass. He had won the battle, but he had lost lives. Brave crews, old. Friends, innocent people, and Earth. Still had more weapons, more secrets, more fear, but now he had something they didn't. The stars over Earth were no longer silent. For years they had watched, from their perfect cities, their glass towers, their polished lies. They called themselves rulers, protectors, civilization. But now they were afraid. Jalen was coming home. The starbound fleet, once scattered, once forgotten, had grown into a force of legends. Over 1,000 ships, dozens of systems united, colonies, freeborn worlds, exiles. And rebels now stood as one, and Earth's control over the stars was crumbling. Yalan stood aboard the Sovereign, gazing at the blue-green planet ahead. Earth, his birthplace, his prison, his past. He felt no warmth. As he looked at it, it was only a quiet, steady resolve. Beside him, Nia spoke softly. It's time. He nodded. Send the message. Across every channel, every screen on Earth lit up. A face they thought they'd erased. Jael. He spoke with calm fury. To the Earth Council, I am not your enemy. You made me one. You cast me out. You hunted me. You tried to burn my name from history. But I survived. I built something you feared. A future you don't control. And now, I return not for revenge. I return for justice. And then he gave them one final choice. Surrender. Step down, or be removed. Earth's council chambers broke into chaos. Can't reach us. He's bluffing. He's got a fleet at our gates. They'll never fire on Earth itself. But as they argued, the sky above Earth changed. One by one, starbound ships entered high orbit. Not firing, not attacking, just watching, a silent wall of judgment. People across Earth watched the skies in awe. Then the feeds changed again. This time it wasn't Yalen speaking, it was the survivors. A woman from Freehold with burned scars on her hands. A boy whose colony was nearly wiped out by bounty hunters. A former Earth pilot who'd defected after the Battle of Broken Suns. One after another, they told their stories. Simple words, deep wounds. And finally, the people of Earth began to see. Not propaganda, not lies, truth inside the council chambers. Fear turned to desperation. Launch the counterfleet. Seal the system gates. But it was too late. Half of Earth's own ships had already mutinied. Pilots refusing to fire. Officers turning off weapons. Systems 1 fleet captain even sent a single line. I fight for Earth's future, not its past. And then came the final signal from the Sovereign. Jalen's voice was cold. You had your chance. You chose silence. Now the stars choose for you. The Sovereign entered Earth's atmosphere with full escort. But there was no invasion, no bombs, no fire, just one shuttle, landing in front of the Earth Council's tower. Yalen stepped out, alone, wearing no armor, holding no weapon. The people gathered by the thousands. Some stared, some wept, some whispered he came back. He entered the tower without resistance, past guards who laid down arms, up the long, polished halls where he once stood trial. Now the council was waiting. The same old faces, older, grayer, but still hiding behind their power. One of them, the same man, who signed Jalen's exile, stood and tried to speak. You have no authority here. Yalen looked at him calmly. I never needed your permission. Then he held out a simple data pad. On it, millions of signatures, colonies, fleets, systems, and even Earth citizens. A vote. Choice. The end of the old order, and the birth of something new. It took less than a day. The council was dissolved. War criminals arrested, new elections set. The laws that allowed exile without trial aced. The solar lance. It's destroyed, and the starbound charter was signed by all 12 outer systems. It's promised that no voice would ever be silenced again. Weeks later, Yalen stood on a balcony high above New Geneva City. The stars stretched out beyond the horizon. Nia stood beside him, quiet. It's strange, she said. You won. You came back. But you don't look happy. Yalen nodded slowly. I'm not here to celebrate. I'm here to rebuild. He turned to face her. All this, it's bigger than me. It always was. The people built this. They believed. I was just the spark, Nia smiled. Even sparks changed the sky. Far above, the Sovereign drifted peacefully. In orbit, its lights pulsed like a heartbeat in the dark. Across 1,000 systems, children would grow up hearing Jalen's story, not as a tale of vengeance, but of hope of what happens when one man refuses to kneel, when truth survives exile, when the stars themselves rise in answer. The star-bound empire was no longer a dream. It was real, and Earth, once the center of everything, was now just one world. Among many, Jalen never called himself emperor, never sat on a throne, but every world knew his name. He was the outcast who turned the exile, who came back with a fleet, the man who was cast out, came back to command the stars they feared.